Look how far we've come, all the things we've done. Did it all with love, beauty from the bottom up. All I want is you, you're my favorite view. But there's nothing new, girl, you make my heart beat.
So tonight we're going to talk about your blonde spot is weirdish.
Oh, that's not from the camera. So I used splat pink dye. I bleached my hair 3 times tonight. And this is as good as I can get it. I think once we land in Vegas, we're going to make a late night trip to a grocery store. I'm going to try it one more time. Come on, babies. Yeah. Oh, what was that? Come on. There
Oh my
she
God.
is.
She almost knocked her cup over.
She's got that deer pounce going on. Yeah.
So it's crazy to think that this is going to be the last live stream of the year.
That is really crazy to think. Oh my gosh, I did not think about that.
Unless we go live from our phones in Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we could. No nibbles.
I am bringing the mics.
Okay.
So if we wanted to, we technically could, but
I
I don't know if we're going to
do it.
do all that. So, all right.
Amanda said it looks bald, but does it look bad? Right? I'm thinking about completely shaving the side of my head to get a tattoo.
Down.
She unwrapped my cocoon.
Yeah. Well, you got to keep in mind too that they're looking at you from 24 millimeters, and they're normally at 50 to 70.
Good point.
Like that's the shortest lens that we have in the house. All right. So I asked you guys in the Discord to send in some of your most your honest versions of you being manipulative, and like what was your manipulative traits and how did you use it so that we could have conversations about manipulation. And I'm going to make this a little bit bigger.
Do you want to know what one of my manipulative traits used to be?
Sure.
Crying.
Yeah, I would believe that.
Yeah.
I would believe that.
Yep. I would start arguments, and then when I realized that the person was actually mad at me, then I would start crying. It's taken a lot for me to actually cry from emotion.
Instead of manipulation.
Yeah.
I hate everything about that.
I know. But it's honest. Why are you looking at me like that?
Because I believe that crying is weaponized towards men.
Yeah, I was that person. I was taught that shit. Like, that was one of those. You know how families have heirlooms? I was passed down manipulation.
I hate that. I hate everything about that. So tonight I'm drinking Redbreast, single pot still Irish whiskey, cask strength, 12 year.
This is what I'm drinking.
In case you guys are wondering.
In case anybody wants to know. $19 at Walmart.
I don't know, like $100. This is not an expensive whiskey. It's good whiskey.
It is. I like Redbreast.
But it's not expensive.
That's one of the ones that don't make me go,
No, there's
Yeah.
not enough heat for that.
It's pretty tame.
100. Oh, it's 112 proof. I think 90 to 100 is like the sweet spot.
Yeah.
I think anything under 100 is just not enough alcohol.
It's just apple juice.
Yeah. All right.
Wheat juice. How is whiskey made? Wheat. Right?
Or rye.
Or rye.
It's corn mash.
Bread juice.
All right.
We're just going to jump into it?
I'm just going to jump into it. These are the examples that were posted in the Discord.
Okay.
Whoop.
So the first one says, can you guys hear me well enough? Should I move the microphone this way a little bit?
It looks good to me.
All right. I wouldn't give my person space. If we were in conflict, I would continue to pursue them and try to solve things right then and there. While not intentionally manipulative, it would trigger a more serious outburst from them and cause greater conflict. I think a lot of people do that. A lot of people who have anxious attachments, who have abandonment issues, view that as an innocent thing. Like, I'm just trying to make sure that we're okay, without recognizing that what they're doing is very manipulative.
There's also the how dare you walk away from me mindset.
Yeah.
This isn't resolved yet. Get back here. We need to finish this right now.
Yeah.
That manipulative situation there speaks to a multitude of things, but the two biggest ones are I'm not going to give you the opportunity to catch your breath.
Right.
I need this to be resolved right now. And if you're not okay and we're not okay, I can't be okay. So make us okay.
Right.
So there's like a quiet desperation in that for me.
That, okay, now it's too far away. Move it closer. How about that? Can you hear me now?
You're fine where you are, babe.
Okay. You bitch, he's doing that shit on purpose. What a fucker. It took me a second. You saying not giving them room to breathe, that's almost a torture tactic.
It can be.
Yeah.
It absolutely can be.
Moving on to the next one.
I think that we should just read these, have a quick little discussion about like maybe why we feel the way we do about it, and then move on to the next one.
Okay.
But I think that in doing this and in releasing this later, the people who have either experienced this or done this and not realized that has been a thing, they'll now notice it because it's been verbalized.
Right. New perspective.
Right. And that's what I was hoping for. So.
All right. Next one says, I would know I wanted the relationship to end, but I didn't want to be the one to end it. So I would act out until they left or did something in retaliation and then leave them because of that retaliation.
That is cowardice.
Ooh, I used to be that person.
That is the definition of cowardice. It's also, I don't want to be the reason that somebody else is hurt.
Yeah.
But you're going to hurt them either way. And it's now I can be the victim. Right? Because now they're going to hurt and they can't be mad at me because they're the one that caused the hurt. Instead of just going, hey, like, you're a dope fucking person.
It's just not working.
This just isn't meant for us. Like, I wish you the best in life. Let's go be friends. You know, I understand. Like I said, you're going to hurt somebody either way.
Yeah. Fake crying was a big one. On a phone call, I got pissed off that I wasn't winning an argument. I would start fake crying on the phone and then hang up. Then waited for them to call back and apologize so I would be the one to win. Holy shit.
There are men out there who fall for that dumb shit.
Oh, yeah. That's crazy. I mean, good on you for admitting that. That's a lot of growth.
Yeah.
To recognize that you used to do that. But that is definitely like, was it DEFCON 5? When shit's getting serious?
Yeah. I actually think doesn't that number go down?
Does it? DEFCON 1?
I think it goes down. I could be way wrong.
Either way, there's fire alarms going off right now. We need to evacuate the building.
This is the shit that a lot of men deal with, though.
Yeah.
People will fake cry because they know that men are fixers and want to fix the situation. It's why the first time you started crying in front of me, I didn't know what to do. And like when I realized that you cry about everything, it changed the way that I viewed it. But the first few times that you cried in front of me, like I had to really question if you were trying to manipulate me or if this is just who you were.
Yeah.
And luckily I saw you cry in other scenarios that had nothing to do with anything. And I was like, okay, she's just a crier.
Yeah.
But if you never cried until you got emotional and then you started breaking down,
or we were in an argument,
I wouldn't have tolerated it.
Yeah.
I would have dipped. Like that's just not something that I'm willing to
deal with.
Endure.
Yeah. Ooh, endure. That's a good word. I want to comment on that earlier thing that I said where I used to be that person who would cry for manipulation. I would only cry in arguments. Otherwise, I would cry behind closed doors because I viewed that as weakness. I didn't want people to use my insecurities or like crying during Marley and Me as ammo against me.
Welcome to manhood.
Yeah.
Zach said, you hang up on me, I'm 100% going about my day. I would too.
Yeah.
I would too. And then when they call back, you're going to voicemail.
Yeah.
We
had an opportunity.
Yeah. I'm not doing that. That hanging up on me shit is real.
Yeah.
I feel like that's almost as bad as being spit on.
Really?
You can't even give
Same
me the
level of
decent. Yes, I
disrespect.
fucking feel that way.
Okay.
If you can't even go, hey, I'm really emotional right now, I'm getting elevated, or fuck you, I'm hanging up, I'll talk to you later. If you just hang the phone up while we're just, even in a normal conversation, you better fucking call me back and be like, I lost signal.
Yeah.
That
Fat
disrespect
thumbs.
is loud as a motherfucker. Yep. DEFCON 1 is highest. Yes.
Oh, you were right.
I was right. TV for the win.
All right. Next one. One of mine that I've really had to work on is doing a bunch of chores, getting angry that my fiance didn't do anything. Then, even though I didn't communicate that I would like help to tackle the tasks. then throwing it all in his face to get him to feel bad and hope he got the message. I had the mentality that he should just know.
Okay,
That's
so I don't
another
think
big
this one
one.
speaks to manipulation. I think this one speaks to growth. Right? Because if you realized you were doing that and you're not doing it anymore because of this situation, you were hoping that he would catch the hint. Like, yes, you were trying to manipulate the situation, but he wasn't catching the hint.
Right.
You were wanting him to read your mind. Like, I don't know. That one doesn't feel like manipulation to me. It feels wrong. Shitty behavior, absolutely. Lack of communication and a whole lot of other things, but I don't think that's a manipulation tactic.
Here's our first disagreement.
Yeah?
As a
well,
woman.
tonight. First disagreement tonight.
No, tonight. Yeah. I'm pretty proud that we can disagree on things and still have an understanding of each other.
Well, this is how we challenge each other's thought processes. So
I love
how do you
it.
disagree?
As a woman, I do view that as manipulation
Why?
because this person could have just said, hey, I need help with this.
Right.
This is the dropping of the hints, and I can't believe he's so blind. And I believe that is the talking into victim mentality and hoping that eventually they'll pick up the slack. And if they don't, well, fuck them.
Right. Well, and I agree with all of that, but I don't see how it's actually manipulating the person to do what they want them to do. Because she said hoping that he would get the hint or they would get the hint, that he should just know.
The throwing it in his face to make him feel bad is what makes me feel like that's
Okay, I agree.
manipulation.
I do agree with that.
So,
But and hope that he got the message is where they lost me.
yeah.
Because, yeah, I mean, I guess you're right. In this situation, you are right. That throwing it in his face,
I was like, there's
to
something
make
that
him-
was said.
to make him feel bad is manipulation because
Yeah.
you're trying to, guilt trip them into doing what you're doing. So I do agree with that. I don't, I think it's more shitty behavior and childish. I think that it's one of those things that's really fucking stupid when you read it out loud.
Shady's back. Tell a friend. Hey, guess who's back? 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 I can't go any lower than that. Guess who's back? Nah, nah, nah. Ch, 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 ch. Nah, nah, nah. Ch, ch, ch. Poof. I created a monster because nobody wants to see Marshall no more. They want Shady. I'm chopped liver. I need to stop. In the past, I would manipulate and control every aspect of a situation so that it fit my narrative, down to controlling every person involved in the situation by manipulating the information they were given about a situation to try and steer their perspective so that the outcome was in my favor. Ooh, man. I destroyed relationships and almost my marriage over this. I played the game of, if I tell everyone involved my side of the story, it is in such a convincing way they'll be on my side.
So you were a liar.
Right.
I destroyed relationships and almost my marriage over this. I played the game of if I tell everyone involved my side of the story in such a convincing way, they'll be on my side. So not only are you lying, you are manipulating the people around you and playing a victim all at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the biggest toxic one yet.
Yeah, that's some of the foulest shit I've ever experienced. I also used to be that person. If I got ahead of it, they'll believe me.
Right. Well, if you tell your story before everybody else does, the other people have to go on the defensive.
Right.
Well, that's
and
not really
try
what
to
happened.
Prove it wrong.
Please hear me out. Like,
Yeah.
it's a bullshit mentality. So
Yeah. That is why I now do everything through text message.
yeah.
Because that is written receipts. I have experienced the ending of a relationship and having that person go and tell everyone that I called them a whore and a piece of shit, that you've called them a see you next Tuesday,
Yeah.
just to try and get ahead of their own foul behavior.
But in the grand scheme of things, does that really matter?
No.
Because if you believe that I'm that type of person, I don't need to try to convince you otherwise.
Right.
Just go get fucked.
Just believe it.
Like, right. I would rather
I wouldn't want you in my life anyway.
Right. I would rather you just get away from me.
Yeah.
I don't need people. I want them. And there's a difference there. So
Good on you for working on that and not being that person anymore. Next one.
yep.
Hiding in closets and then getting upset that he didn't come find me. Oh, wow. That's more than just walking away. That's... I hope you search the whole house looking for me.
What are you, 6? Like,
Right.
we play it in hide and go seek and I don't know we're
Peekaboo,
playing.
bitch.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
that's some really childish behavior on that one. What do you excuse me, ma'am? Down. We are working.
There's so
Down.
much childhood trauma in all of these.
Yeah,
And
there
it
really
breaks my
is.
heart. Really breaks my heart. I used to be that person who would walk away from a conversation in the hopes that they would chase me because they love me. Like that's all in every single movie. She walks away and he loves her enough to follow her. And I would base my relationships on the premise of fucked up people writing movies.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's absolutely insane to me.
Next one.
Yep.
I think my manipulation tactic is to get extremely mad and emotional when I want to shut down. The angrier I get, the faster people disappear. I will flip over the smallest change that impacts my already overthought day. I don't think that's manipulation. I think that's emotional dysregulation.
Depends on how it's being used.
Oh, that's a good point.
If this is the conversation of you didn't yell because you got angry, you yelled and used your anger as a reason for it.
Yeah.
You already wanted to yell and act up, and
Yeah.
you're just allowing your anger to be the justification for you to behave in that manner.
My husband is such a strong, stoic man, and hearing him say, go potty, is pretty, it tickles my brain wrinkles.
I want to go back to the hiding in closets thing.
Oh, okay.
You know, when I was a kid, I would do shit like that. Disappear and wait to see if somebody would come find me.
I would do that
And there was
too.
like a dude, am I loved? Am I missed? If I ran away, would
Will they
anyone notice?
recognize?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Would they even notice if I'm not here?
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of trauma in that.
Okay, next one is I've gotten in the car and drove off and turned my phone off so that my person would worry about me and apologize.
Wow.
I've done that shit too.
See, those are behaviors that are like ending behaviors for me.
Yeah.
That whole worry about me and apologize, like that is a like, fuck you. That's not going to be a thing
Yeah.
because of my motorcycle accident. If I'm supposed to be somewhere and I call and somebody doesn't answer the phone and I call again and they don't answer the phone, I get enraged because of that scenario of like, this happened to me.
Life or death.
And when I actually needed my people, nobody would answer the fucking phone.
It would take 2 phone calls. I usually don't pick up on the first call because I think it's a scam.
Right.
Why do you have my number? But if that same number calls back within a minute, I'm answering the phone.
Wait. Before we move on, can we just talk about the flawed logic of the person would worry and apologize to me?
Oh yeah, that's definitely a fantasy.
Right? Like I would be mad. Like if you turned
Yeah.
your phone off and stopped answering and I got worried, I'm not apologizing.
Where the fuck are you?
Yeah,
Why would you do this?
Right. We're about to have a whole fucking falling out over that. And then afterwards, then we still have to pick the conversation back up. Because you getting mad and throwing a temper tantrum and doing that doesn't negate the fact that we're in conflict and there's not been resolution yet.
There's now a new conversation to be had.
Right. You've just made things worse. I fucking hope to God that person doesn't do that anymore.
I agree. I wanted to touch on that. Getting in the car, driving off, and hoping that they worry about them. I was that person who would allude to, I'm about to off myself, and it's because of you.
That's fucked.
And then I would either block them or I would turn my phone off to make them feel guilty. I was a really shitty person. I'm glad you got me at this time in life.
I'm fucking glad I did too because I wouldn't have tolerated any of that.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't have had a conversation about it.
No. And then I would have blamed you for leaving me. All right, next one is I used "it feels like you don't love me. One day when I'm dead, you'll regret everything you ever did to me and realize you were part of the reason I'm gone." I was very drunk. He told me I needed to have an abortion. This was an ex. Jeez.
So this isn't something that you would do on a regular basis. This was a one-time thing because you guys were drunk and fighting. I don't really have anything on that one because that was a one-time thing.
Yeah.
I don't think that's... I mean, if they did that shit on a regular basis, I would want to talk about it. But, one time while we were drinking and...
Trying to force me to kill my baby.
Yeah.
Next one. I think for me, I tend to get real petty towards people once I feel like they've talked down on me.
Ooh.
Well, what does petty look like? Because if I feel like someone's talking to me like I'm less than human... Oh, I can see being petty as being manipulative, because I would just walk away from that person. You're showing me your true colors. Everyone else will see it at some point.
See, I gotta be honest. This must be a toxic trait for me.
Being
This
petty.
this must be something that I'm still about,
Yeah.
because I will treat somebody differently once they've disrespected
Oh,
me.
I do that too. But is that petty, or is that treating them the way they
okay.
have presented themselves?
Is it that they disrespected you, or that there was malicious intent behind their actions? Because it's not the same thing.
Oh, I agree with that. Disrespect could be
Not wiping your shoes before you come in the house.
right, not done on purpose.
Right. It could just be one of those things that they didn't know any better. Or maybe they're just brash individuals. I'm brash. People think that I'm disrespectful sometimes. I like to believe that overall I'm a very respectful person, but I may not understand your boundaries or know them. And if I don't know them and I'm
Crossing them.
disrespectful, what I was going to say is the difference between the disrespect and malicious intent. If somebody is intentionally trying to be malicious to you, or they're intentionally being disrespectful, coming outside of their neck, whatever, and they're doing it with the intent to harm, that's very different.
I agree with
that.
that.
I'm not tolerating that shit at all. So being petty in that scenario may look like a whole slew of things. It could be as simple as me cutting you out of my life. It could be me trying to establish dominance and prove a point that you're a fucking moron.
Oh, yeah.
If we're in a social situation and that happens and I have the ability to berate you and make you feel little after doing that, I will.
Me too.
And then I'm going to sever ties with you after I embarrass the fuck out of you, because embarrassment and pain are the two greatest teachers.
Yeah.
You don't fucking learn in a day,
Right.
right? Okay. So I guess that I still have that toxic trait.
No, I get that. I still have that. I'm petty as well. You know, after being in Thailand and using that bidet, I really feel like a peasant wiping my own ass. I really think we should invest in one of those things. Next one is, I would get caught doing something that I didn't want to be caught doing, and I would debate them out of it. I would gaslight them until they doubted something, anything about what they found, and then I would go in for the kill. I would turn it around on them and continue until they were apologizing to me for accusing me of something. I've done that.
It's crazy.
I was that person too.
There are people on the internet who will tell you that you are a narcissist for that.
I was 100% a narcissist. I was a really shitty person to be with.
That's not something you just overcome.
What do you mean?
Like if you were extreme narcissistic, like actual NPD diagnosed, like somebody's actually clinically certified you as,
Yeah.
you don't just wake up one morning and get over that. Like it takes a lot of fucking therapy and a lot of work and like want to change.
I don't think that I was NPD diagnostic worthy, but I definitely had high narcissistic traits. There was also an instance where a different ex and my sister were getting a little too buddy-buddy one night for my liking. I would not let the ex be alone in the apartment with my sister, our roommate, or be in the same room with her without me, even in the living room or the kitchen.
That's control.
I do view that as control. I don't think that's manipulation. I think that's grasping at control.
How she went about it could be manipulative.
Oh, that's true.
But that situation is just controlling.
I would do something, walking on the line of a boundary, and not think anything of it. Then tell them they need to tend to my emotions instead of theirs when they would get upset, because them being upset would make me upset just because mine were more important. I was also that person.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
That's the people who have that situation, is the people who, when something's brought to you, you get defensive and turn it around on the person that brought you the problem. Yep.
Next one is, I would go through cycles of hot and cold. Hot, very attentive, very affectionate, very involved. Then I would have my love meter filled and then switch to cold. Cold being distant, rarely communicating, uninvolved and disinterested, dismissive. If questioned about the cycle, or if it was pointed out that this was not a sustainable way to maintain a healthy relationship, I would crazy make them and outright accuse them of preventing me from having my own personal interest. These cold periods could last weeks.
This is splitting.
Yeah.
And this sounds like borderline shit to me.
Yeah.
It's also a very fucking horrible thing to live through as the person that's on the other end of that.
Anytime an issue would arise that I did something they didn't like, I would blow up and turn it on them, make them feel bad for feeling bad because I didn't want to be in the wrong. That's something else that I would do.
Yeah. A lot of these are repetitive situations.
Yeah, I was about to say I would group that into one of the ones previous.
Yep. Takes a lot of fucking guts to admit this in our Discord. Granted, it was in its own chat.
Right.
But it was, everybody could see everybody's name. So like if somebody really wanted to come in there and be like, you're a shitty fucking person, they could have.
Yeah.
It just goes to show the community that we have.
100%. Next one.
Yep.
I would never ask or consider how my ex-husband felt about decisions that I made. I would make whatever decision I wanted, when I wanted to, and my response would always be, if you don't like it, then too damn bad.
It's rough. That's the same thing as the divorce. Don't like it, leave.
Yeah.
You know what you signed up for. I ain't fucking changing for you, right? Yeah.
The selfishness is loud in that one.
Yeah.
Next one.
Yep.
Ultimatums. The most clear one I remember happened right before we were married. We had always talked about kids. Then a few weeks out from our wedding, he said he was rethinking having kids. I flat out looked at him and said, you better decide now, because if you don't, I will find someone else who does.
That would be that would have been the end for me. That statement would have been enough for me to walk away.
Yeah.
Because in that moment, you're telling me, she's telling him, respect. Honestly, respect for even just being that fucking honest. Because a lot of people wouldn't. And I can respect that. The way you laid it out is fucking wrong, because it's telling me that it's not me that you want.
It's what you can get from
It's what you can get from me. It's kids. You're not looking at me as a husband and a long-term mate. You're looking for me to be able to mate. I'm good on that. Like, I don't want to be a fucking stud and be used just for my semen. Like, that's just not... I would have bounced from that.
Yeah. There wasn't even a, why do you feel that way?
Right.
What changed? Next one. Before I started healing, I was in and out of relationship after relationship, and I would always try to rush so fast into relationships. I put up a whole bunch of effort in that honeymoon phase and that we were having the hard conversations. Eventually, and end up in that honeymoon codependency stage, I realized that I basically love bombed potential partners and never truly healed from previous relationships or how to communicate my emotions properly. I just wanted to fill the void of loneliness. At one point, we created a roommate stage atmosphere and we had no intimacy anymore. We couldn't talk to each other without it being an argument, and it continued that way till the end. And when she left, it was a huge eye-opener. I would do that too, the love bombing. When I think about me love bombing people, I believe that was derived from my childhood trauma.
What do you mean?
Because it was a desperate grasp at, I'm going to give you everything you want right now so that you'll love me. And it was not maintainable for me to continue to pour out the way that I was at such an extreme rate. And now I know that that's called love bombing. I mean, not now, but I learned through my healing journey.
Yeah, I actually don't think that is love bombing.
No?
No, I think that's trying to get the job.
Okay.
When you meet somebody and there's a lustful attachment or even attraction or whatever, maybe you like the way their mouth moves and that's enough for you to want to try to be with them. You're going to try to do everything that you can to paint yourself in the best possible light so that they can see the value that you bring to the table. It's no different than in nature when those birds that have the bright colors fucking flare up and do their little bird dance. They're putting their best foot forward to show you how fucking amazing they are and to make you want to mate with them. We just do it on an intellectual level. So we're trying to be articulate and philosophical and have all the fucking answers and, look how much money I have and check out my new fucking car and I've got a great job and a 401k and we could have babies and I can put them through college. And it's the mating dance is just different with people. But I believe that situation that you described in the very beginning where you're just giving it everything you fucking have to show them that you're worthy of being loved is the bird dance.
Yeah.
That's how I view that. I understand that love bombing by definition is an actual manipulative tactic.
Right.
Because abuse normally follows after that.
Yeah.
But I don't think that just because somebody's showing you who they are and putting their best foot forward, that it's automatically love bombing.
I agree with that.
I think that the love bombing thing is only applicable when it becomes abusive afterwards, because I still love bomb you. I made you. I said, babe, can you walk back over there earlier? And you were like, what? And you walked back over, and I was like, oh, you can walk back now. And you were like, what? And I was like, I just wanted to see you walk to me. Like,
Yeah.
I,
I don't view that as love bombing, though. I view that as my husband flirting with me.
I'm still putting my best foot forward, though.
Yeah.
So there was never any abuse after it. It's a continued effort.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still the bird doing the dance.
Yes, you are. Next one. I was so bad for ultimatums. I would make them choose a thing. Could it be gaming, drugs, a family member friend, or me all the time? Anything that took them away from me was an issue.
That's a lot of people.
I was that person, yeah. But I became that person once I recognized that I wasn't priority anymore. I got into a lot of relationships believing that eventually they're going to love me enough to put me first. And as it has played out, that wasn't the case. I, in my mind, concocted my own importance in their life, even though their actions showed me otherwise. And then I started giving ultimatums like that as a desperate grasp of, tell me that you love me and you want me here.
Do you think that a simple communication would have fixed that? Because people have hobbies.
Yeah.
Right. And granted, this was talking about video games and drugs, family members or friends. Like, those are kind of extremes. I can understand if somebody's gone all the time and all they do is sit on their computer and you're not involved in their life at all anymore. But to negate somebody's hobby is a different thing, or to try to isolate them from their family because you want to be prioritized. Don't you simply think that saying something along the lines of like, hey, I really fucking miss what we had. Really miss you. Like, all you do is the things that you do to make you happy, and I used to make you happy, and I'd like you to do me. Like,
Yeah.
there's got to be some sort of a conversation there that fixes that versus giving an ultimatum that would not only express what it is that you are going through with what you need, but also maybe shine some light on the fact that the relationship that you're having with somebody's currently fucked up, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Blame shifting / projecting, taking my own issues and blaming my person for them, even when it had absolutely nothing to do with them. I did this over years, chipping away at their self-worth and self-image until they were putty in my hand, and I could basically get them to do whatever I wanted with them. I'd do whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, and completely disregarded their thoughts and feelings, thinking every time they asked for validation or a piece of my time was manipulation and controlling behavior, treating them like an abusive narcissist due to past relationships, and basically I was just a monster.
wow. You know what I'm getting from all of this?
What's that?
Is the people knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
And you choose to do it anyways.
Yeah, every instance that I look back on of me doing things wrong, I knew it was wrong. But my excuse was, well, I'm traumatized and you're doing this to me.
Victim mentality.
I'm doing this because of the way you're behaving. If you weren't acting like this, I wouldn't be acting like this. Next one.
Yep.
Things had to be my way. There was no other way. And if he tried, I would shut down any line of communication until it was done my way.
Silent treatment.
Yep.
And the craziness is that there's people out there who love their person so much that they're willing to
Deal with that.
concede to that. Right.
Next one.
Yep.
When I left my ex, I regretted it more than anything when I realized I didn't know how to be alone. I was freshly 18 and we'd been together since I was 15. I tried getting him back and he wouldn't go for it. I berated him endlessly, told him he ruined me. He was the reason that I was crazy. I told him I loved him too much and that's why I pushed him away, but I regretted it and wanted him back. I had the dude that I was with at the time when my family moved to Georgia. It was my senior year of high school. He moved with us. And he got a job. He was doing the thing. And I had somebody in my ear telling me that he wasn't good enough for me. And I ended up breaking up with him. And he had to drive back to Florida. And 2 hours into him leaving, I regretted it. And I texted him and I was like, I want you to come back. And he told me, no, I'm not doing that. And I pretty much shut down. And I was like, fuck you. I can't believe that you're not going to turn around for me. Leaving you was the best thing I've ever done, and all these other kinds of things. And like now I recognize that was one of the catalysts to project me into who I am now. In the moment, though, I was really mad at myself for allowing somebody to be in my ear that way. And I felt like I ruined my life based on somebody else's thoughts, opinions. Well, they wouldn't be living their life this way.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I would shut down completely. I am absolutely guilty of the matching energy thing. If I felt I wasn't getting enough attention, I would withhold attention. I would do that. I would match energy. Instead of trying to problem solve,
That's our natural reaction to things.
to match.
I believe so.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a trauma thing. Maybe that's not a natural response for everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
But I do truly believe that when it comes down to it, when somebody's treating you bad, you want to treat them bad.
Right. I want you to feel the way you're making me feel.
Right. So that you understand. It's
Yeah.
the golden rule. You treat people the way you want to be treated.
A prime and very basic example would be I can cry on demand. I always got my own way if I cried. It could be anything, sex, food, affection, etc.
Pause. Could you imagine manipulating somebody to have sex with you over crying?
No, I would feel absolutely pathetic. I would feel absolutely pathetic. I couldn't get you to want me any other way besides making you feel bad about it. I always played victim with the decent men. I always twisted my words and theirs. So if I want attention, I'd put the waterworks on. You don't think I'm attractive, you don't love me, and cry until they canceled every plan to make me happy. Ex-guy, I never treated that way. But when I started to sleep with someone else while sleeping with him, I would gaslight him if he tried to sleep with someone else.
Crazy.
Yeah. Next.
I wonder how, for people who do that kind of shit, how does it feel when it doesn't work? Like if you're so used to that behavior getting you what you want, how does it make you feel when a dude finally is like, I've had this before.
I'm not putting up with
Fuck
it.
you.
Yeah.
Right? Because in reality, that whole I'm not attractive, you don't love me, and that crime manipulative shit, if you get somebody that's experienced that in the past, they're not going to do it again.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, no, you're right. I don't. You're not. Then what? Then them waterworks are real because your feelings are hurt.
Yeah. Next one.
Yeah.
If I was using anyone for sex, I would absolutely love bomb the fuck out of them and treat them like shit to get them a fuck away from me. Fuck and Chuck situation. Do you want to know something I think about? I wouldn't say every day, but at least once a week. How many people that I have damaged? I know that I have done things to traumatize people. Right? And in speaking with the people that I have been with in relationships, there's been a lot of, I'm sorry that I did that to you. I recognize the pain that I caused you, and I can see that 10 years later, this is something that you still have to battle with and feel worthy of actually being with somebody who loves you. I couldn't imagine doing that. Love bombing someone so they would have sex with me and then treating them like shit so they would get away from me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say it, but that's a man tactic.
Yeah.
It's a little boy tactic. It's a teenage boy tactic.
Yeah. Just trying to get off and moving on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Next one is I went to extreme lengths. I had 2 different phones so I would never get caught cheating. I didn't tell one boyfriend I'd move houses, etc. Oh my goodness.
I had 2 different phones so I'd never get caught cheating. How would that work?
Oh, I don't know.
Like 2 iPhones under
Really?
the same account, so like it wouldn't work though.
Why?
Because your phone number's connected to both phones. So like text messages and shit would come through. Apps maybe.
Yeah.
I guess
Like WhatsApp or
apps would
Kik,
probably be the way, or
Messenger.
even Snapchat, just everything installed on one phone and not the
Oh,
other.
yeah.
Yeah, that's probably how that went.
I remember I was maybe 16 or 17 at this time, and I was messaging 2 guys at one time, and I accidentally messaged one guy that I meant to text something to the other guy, and it was completely out of context.
Yeah.
I lied out of my ass to cover it up, and he believed it.
Yeah, I did similar shit when I was a kid.
Yeah.
We handling like multiple text message conversations
Yeah.
at once. That's I gotta be honest. I think that's teenager shit.
Yeah. Little kid shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will never forget the heart attack I had in that moment. Unreal.
Yeah.
Next one is I never cheated, but I accused exes of it, even though I knew they weren't because I was bored and wanted drama. Holy shit.
That's one of those how did that serve you situations.
Yeah.
Because that's not gonna work.
Right.
Like you're gonna find a man who's like, you know what? I'm not doing this. Get fucked. And what happens if that one dude, if that's the dude that you happen to be in love with? Yep. It's wild.
Next one. If he upset me in any way, I would absolutely ruin the entire day. In an argument, I would get out of the vehicle and walk away no matter where we were, and he would have to chase me down.
He chose to chase you down.
Correct.
I would have left your ass.
I would do things like that too. It was that's something I learned at a very, very early age. That if you upset me, the whole day is ruined because of you. And
that's narcissistic as fuck when you think about it.
It is. It is. You know, as a child, I carried a lot of guilt. I carried that into adulthood, and that was just normal for me. That's how I believed we treated the people who upset us. Yeah.
That's insane to think about. And then here we are in our relationship going, I don't want to have a bad day with you.
Yeah.
Like, this sucks. Let's figure this shit out and then get the fuck over it so we can fucking cuddle and watch TV. Mm-hmm. Because the cuddling and the watching TV is so much better than being in conflict.
It really is.
Yep.
Next one.
Yes.
I used to play victim at all times. I did not care for others' feelings. I cheated, then flipped the script. I'm so sorry how my actions hurt others.
I love the last part of that. Love the accountability.
I'm not gonna cry. That's heavy.
Yeah.
That's a very heavy burden to carry. Like I said, I knew what I was doing wasn't right in the moment. I also felt like I was very justified because of my trauma and the way that people were hurting me, whether inadvertently or on purpose. And now the healed version of me, I feel guilty as fuck for all of it. Next one. To get out of cooking or any chore, I would list everything that happened that day to me to make it sound like a worse day than his. I did this just so he would cook and I didn't have to, or whatever the chore was. Now I'm starting to realize it's my brain getting overwhelmed with everything around me and going into freeze mode.
No, so what you did is you used your manipulation to get what you want, and now you're using your overwhelmed behavior as an excuse to use that manipulation to get what you want. There's no growth there.
Yeah. I get wanting to talk about the day, right? When I have a bad day, you're the only person I really want to melt into. And there's times I don't even tell you what happened. It was just a really bad day today, babe. And if I needed to get off my chest, like somebody cut me off in the street and it really made me angry and I was in a sour mood for 30 minutes, I would tell you that. To play tit for tat that my day was worse than yours, I agree with what you said. It's shifting the naming of the manipulation.
Yeah, that situation, I think that if you were to just be like, hey, the day kind of sucked.
You mind cooking dinner?
I really don't want to do that tonight. Can we DoorDash? Like,
pick up Taco Bell.
Something, right? You're on your way home. Can you grab something? I just fuck this day.
Yeah.
I would respect that a whole lot more than starting,
this and that and that and this. And that's why I can't cook dinner tonight.
Right. Because there's an honesty to it versus throwing a whole bunch of shit because it exaggerated.
Right. Oh, is that what they said?
No, but that's how it reads to me because there's things happening to me. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
No, I get that.
Knowing that they wrote on there, now I'm starting to realize it's my brain getting overwhelmed with everything around me and going into freeze mode kind of negates the fact that you were manipulating your person.
Yeah.
You can accept the fact that you're overwhelmed and you don't want to do those things, and that's, a realization that's gangster, but I still think that there needs to be work there on how to talk to people.
Next one.
Yep.
I don't know if this counts, but I get to a point where I have been asking and begging for things to change, i.e. name calling, exerting extreme control, diminishing, dismissing, and I just shut off. If things get to a point where I can no longer handle it, I don't show emotion, I tell them to leave, or I leave and I don't look back. I don't view that as manipulation. I view that as you're being abused and you're asking for it to end.
Could be. It could be a lack of emotional regulation.
Yeah.
Somebody posted on that video that I made today about only being able to cram so much in a bottle. And they said that it's a whole lot easier to clean up a couple of drops of a spill than the entire bottle exploding.
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to in that situation. If you're getting to the point where you can no longer handle it, it's gotten too far.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to handle things in small doses, not in massive, issues.
And that's why we talk about it in the moment, or when we have a moment to talk about it instead of letting it build up.
Yeah. I'm not trying to have big blowups.
It's too exhausting. Next one.
Yeah.
When I was a kid and recognized that's preference.
Preferential treatment. Yep.
Preferential.
Positive attention my sibling at the time got.
I started trying to figure out why I wasn't getting that positive attention. I couldn't figure out how to get positive attention, but I figured out how to get concern. Self-harm was very common at the time, and I knew that for the cost of some pain, I could manifest/manufacture concern.
Yep.
That's fucked up.
The trick was you had to hide it enough to not be obvious, but not so well it'll never be seen. There was like a curve you had to land on optimally.
Oh, I didn't know that there was more.
It's the same one. To be clear, it was not for some sort of release of endorphins or distractions from my own depression or life. It was purely manipulative. I believe that's most of the people who are doing self-harm. I believe that there's a dopamine response that happens from the pain. You get the endorphin rush. I believe that that happens with everyone. But that endorphin release and that dopamine hit is not just from the act. It's from it being caught and seen and people fawning over you and making sure you're okay and the attention that comes from it. Mm-hmm. I truly believe that's a manipulative thing.
Yeah. I would wait to pick fights until we were in the car going somewhere. Oh, golly gosh. Because then he can't walk away, can't hang up the phone. That's entrapment. Continuing on. I would pick fights while he was at work and get pissed when he wouldn't message back right away. Oh, I would do that.
Can we, before you move any further, talk about how that can damage your livelihood?
Oh, trying to have a fight at work?
Right.
Yeah, you're not paying attention. If you're doing a high-risk job, you could put your life at risk.
It absolutely could.
Oh, my goodness. You could put other people's lives at risks.
Yep.
You could be a mechanic working on a car and miss something, and then
car
they're
fall
driving
on you.
down the road,
Yeah.
and their brakes aren't working all of a sudden. Yeah.
There's a whole lot of things that can go into that situation. I think that as much as technology has made the text message convenient, it has done a huge disservice for people. And if your person is at work, the last thing you need to be doing is creating
Blowing 'em
conflict.
up.
Because the best case scenario is they get to come home at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Worst case, they could lose their job. Somebody could get hurt or die. Your person could get hurt or die. What if they're doing something that requires them to have a very specific procedure, but because they're angry and checking their phone, they miss something that they thought they did, and they go do the next thing that has a safety precaution engaged, and they forgot to engage it, and when they did something fell on them.
Suddenly they lost their arm.
Right. Or they're paralyzed from the waist down now because you couldn't fucking wait until they got home to have a conversation.
Or they killed somebody else's parent.
Yeah. Or kid.
Yeah.
Yep. That's a rough one.
That is a pretty heavy one. And when I was that person, I never thought about that. It was all about, I need to feel okay right now.
Right. They need to put me first.
Yeah. Continuing on, anytime we would have a disagreement, I would tell him, that's right, run back to your wife, other bitch, etc. I would manipulate any disagreement conversation to being about me. I'm so sorry I'm horrible. I'm sorry I'm a bad girlfriend. That's something that I picked up too growing up.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that I'm like this.
That run back to your other bitch or wife.
Yeah.
Would
You
take
talking to your other girlfriend?
one time is all that would take. I would never tolerate that from anyone. I watched my mom do that shit.
Yeah. It's questioning integrity.
One time is all that would take for me to disengage completely. Mm-hmm. Anything, I'm sorry, I'm a horrible person, I'm such a bad girlfriend.
Sorry, I'm a piece of shit.
I am also the person to be like, yeah, you are.
Yeah. So what are you going to do about it?
In this moment, you are. Your behavior is unacceptable, so you are correct. Thank you for addressing that. What are we going to do to rectify the situation and not repeat this moving forward?
Right.
Because I recognize that manipulation, and I'm not going to fucking ever fall for that. Because again, I've watched people do that shit my entire life. That shit works for a lot of people. A lot of people fall for that.
Because they're damaged.
Yeah.
I believe people are so desperate for love that they're willing to take abuse because on the other side of this, everything's okay.
Is it though?
No, it's not. In their mind, though, that's what they're telling themselves.
Be-
We have rough times, but when times are good, they're really good.
But are they though?
No, they're not. They're not.
Right, and that's my point.
Yeah.
People mistake comfort for good times.
Yeah.
It-
Or filling the void
Complacency.
within you
Right.
as good times.
Yeah. If we're not fighting and we're not at odds and life is comfortable, I'm good. I can still afford groceries. I have air conditioning. I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to worry about the government and the dollar and the collapse and things because right now everything's okay.
Yeah.
You know, the room is on fire, but I'm sitting in the cool spot next to the window where the smoke's going out so I can still breathe. I'm okay.
Right.
Until it starts getting hot in there. You know what I mean? Like there's not I think that people forget what it is to live with joy. And I think it's why people who have really nasty relationships cling to good people afterwards because they're looking for that little bit of sunshine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
And there is a difference between happiness and joy. Joy is a long-lasting thing that you can experience even through the hardest times because you're choosing to see it.
right.
Happiness is very much a fleeting moment.
Yeah. That's the pity me mindset.
Yeah.
I have a really hard time with that. I view that as emotional vampirism.
I agree.
You're stealing my energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to say, if you guys haven't read the Celestine Prophecy. I know
I
it's not a
love that
self-help book, but it does talk about control dramas and it explains the way that people deal with shit.
Even though it's fictionalized, I did view that as a self-help book. It put a lot of different things into perspective for me.
You want to hear something funny?
Yes.
Every time I read that book, I fast.
Really?
Every time.
Why?
Because I realized the food that we eat is not food.
Yeah.
And that book is a reminder of the energy that's getting put into shit because it used to be farmers out there busting their ass, making sure the soil's right and picking food and doing the thing. And now
And it wasn't genetically altered and
right. And now not only is it genetically altered, it's all done by machine.
yeah.
There's no energy being put into the food that goes into us. And there's the part in the book where he's talking about how people would sit and focus on the beauty of the plant and try to push their energy into the plant. So whenever I read that, I'm like, okay, I need to purge and I'll fast for 5, 6, 7 days. And then I'll get back into vegetables and fruits for a couple of days, then
And then
grass fed
McDonald's.
and then McDonald's. But like I do every time. The last time
Yeah.
I went on, I think the last time I fasted, I went 8 days before I ate again.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I think, and this was involuntary. Back when I was 18, 19 years old, I mean, up until that point, my anxiety was so bad that I would go days or weeks without eating.
Yeah.
And I would just chew bubble gum because me chewing would trick my mind into
Thinking you're eating.
I'm eating.
Yep.
Yeah. And like, it was so bad that I would make myself gag thinking about eating. My anxiety was so bad. And that's the only time I've ever fasted.
You can make yourself salivate by putting a rock in your mouth.
Not me want to try to test
You
that
can.
theory.
You can.
I got a lot of rocks in this
It
house.
happens when you're like, if you're in the desert and you can't find
Yeah.
water and your mouth is dry, they say to put a rock in there. It'll make you salivate.
Is it like the salt or something?
I
in
have no
it?
idea.
The minerals, like the goats, we crave it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Next one is, I am not proud of what I am about to say, but I did it and need to own it. I would use my abusive past to get the things I wanted or to get out of things I didn't want to do. It didn't matter that he didn't know about, it didn't matter that he didn't know about 90% of the abuse.
I think that's a lot of unhealed people.
Yeah, I used to do that too.
People want to play the victim because it's a whole lot easier to make somebody else change than to be the one to change.
I'm acting this way because I've been cheated on before and you need to prove to me by walking through fire that you're not like the other guys I've been with.
Yeah. Or you need to heal, and when you heal, you let me know and we can try this again, but I'm not doing that.
Oh man, babe, it's happening again.
What?
I'm craving that ramen in Hong Kong.
We are not flying to the Hong Kong airport for fucking ramen.
I looked at my husband the other day and I was like, you want to catch an 18-hour flight to Hong Kong just to get some ramen? Gosh, it was so good.
It was good. ramen.
They had kimchi in it.
Yeah.
One day. Next. I have also slammed kitchen cupboards and doors while doing the house cleaning because everyone made the mess to make it a point that I was unhappy to have to clean the entire house while everyone was just relaxing. Ooh, ow.
I've experienced that.
I was that person. You're going to know that I'm upset. That was normal to me. That is how you communicated your feelings.
It's passive aggressive
It is
bullshit.
very passive aggressive. We had talks about it, but I didn't even realize this was something I was doing until he pointed it out to me. This came from a past relationship where I was the breadwinner and the one cleaning and taking care of the child, but I brought that into a different relationship where I was now only working part-time and staying home with the kids.
So did you change that behavior? Because that's a big thing, right?
That is
Like
a
if
very
he
big
was like,
thing.
"Hey, why do you do that?" and you're like, "Oh shit."
I don't know, because I'm damaged. Why you gotta call me out?
Right, but then you make the change afterwards. That's,
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge.
It is huge.
That sounds like, you know, not bringing baggage from previous relationships into the one that you're currently in. That doesn't sound like manipulation.
Yeah.
I can definitely see how it would be. If you knew that slamming the cabinets and acting up would make
Would get you
people get up to
attention.
do this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
then you're training them to wait until those things happen.
Instead of just saying, hey,
Right.
clean up after yourselves.
Right. Hey, I need some help. Hey guys, we got, an hour until our show comes on. Let's get all this shit taken care of so we can all sit down and enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah. Just want to take a second and thank everyone for airing their dirty laundry like this.
It takes a lot.
I really hope that other people hearing this, it's like a light bulb moment or something clicks in their brain of, oh my God, that's why my relationship's fucked up right now.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Sorry, Lord. Next one.
Yep.
I can do whatever I want with my money. It's not like you pay any bills. Maybe you should get a job and stop being worthless.
Damn.
That,
I mean,
that's heavy.
we don't know if there's kids involved. We don't know if
Right.
you asked your woman to be a stay-at-home.
Or a man.
Right. Or if they asked you to be a stay-at-home dad. Like,
Yeah.
That's crazy. Wish there was more context to that.
Yeah. It's crazy how we as humans will say something out of anger and not recognize the lasting impact that will have on someone's psyche.
Mm-hmm.
I've always had this lower level of emotion bordering on sociopathy, in my opinion, so not diagnosed, at times.
Sociopathy.
Sociopathy?
Being a sociopath.
What did I say?
Sociopathy.
Sociopathy? I mean, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
I would do things to give the illusion of emotion when it suited me. My ex wanted something back a couple of years before we broke up.
After we broke up.
After we broke up. My ex wanted something back a couple of years after we broke up. It was a paper of some kind. It was a story she wrote to character assassinate me in school. Police were involved. Big ordeal. Oh my geez. To be clear, I did not give two flying fucks about this paper or the story, but I wanted her to think that I did. I took eye drops and dropped it onto the paper and let them dry a couple of times to give the illusion I had cried while reading it so that I can get an emotional reaction out of her.
That is definitely manipulation. That is premeditated manipulation.
100% premeditated.
And definitely sociopath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would do things like that. I would like rip up papers or like arrange the kitchen like I just threw a fit in there and then wait in the bedroom for whomever I was with at that time to come home and see it and then come and check on me to see if I was okay. I was a mess.
Okay, so
I would stage shit.
what would have happened if they'd have come in and been like, you made a mess in the kitchen?
Then it would be an even bigger problem because clearly you don't pay enough attention to me to realize that I'm not okay right now.
Well,
Even though the whole thing was staged.
you cannot be okay, but you still made a mess in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna need you to clean that up.
No, then I would turn around on them if you don't care enough about me. I would gaslight the fuck out of them.
Yeah. That shit works for people.
It does.
There are
I
people
mean,
out
it
there
did work.
that will not tolerate that shit.
I was in relationships with people for over a year doing those kinds of things.
It's
And the
insane to
only
me.
reason I've only had one person leave me.
Yeah.
I've only had one person leave me. All of the other relationships I ended because I was bored of them, or they weren't giving me enough attention, or they weren't playing into my games.
You remember when we were courting
Yeah.
and you were like, this man is not going to put up with my bullshit. And
Yeah.
you decided to change. I'm so fucking grateful that you decided to change.
Me fucking too.
Because if I came in the house and you had done that shit and you were in the bedroom and I was like, why'd you make a mess in the kitchen? And you were like, I had a meltdown. I'm like, all right, well, when you're done, you can go clean the kitchen. And I'd have fucking walked out of the room.
Yeah, I would have taken that personal. Now you're the problem. Like, why are you not out here trying to make me feel better?
Because it's not my responsibility.
But I believed it was.
Yeah. But you're a grown up. And when you're ready to talk to me like a grown up, I'm here for it. Until then, you need to clean the fucking kitchen. You made the mess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely the correct response. Yeah.
Yep. Oh man, my lack of tolerance is fucking it's real. There are a lot of things that I just will not tolerate from people.
I would definitely say that when we met, you definitely had a more healed version of me. But like I said, I was standing in the living room of my little tiny 2-bedroom apartment going, this man is not going to put up with my bullshit. And it took a lot of growth. That's one of the mental breakdowns that I had where I recognized that like I'm not okay as a woman.
There was a lot of that for me too.
Yeah.
It looked different.
I would imagine so.
But the result was the same.
Yeah.
Knowing that I could come to you and be honest about all of my ugly and not get judged. And like there's, it's one thing to admit things to yourself.
But to say it to someone else makes it real.
Right. Because now not only are you looking at yourself in the mirror, you know that somebody else is looking back at you.
Mm-hmm.
And it changes perspectives on things. But all of that, I was able to be honest, and like there was not a lot of ugly in judgment. Like there was times where you're like, that's kind of fucked up. Like I could see how that would be a thing or blah, 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 blah. But it wasn't like you're a piece of shit. How dare you?
I can't believe you did that.
We just kind of worked through what was going on, and it created a free-flowing conversation that allowed me to be honest and allowed me to process the things that I was doing. Hopefully the way that this is for other people, but that shit went a long way for me. So
fuck. I can moonwalk kind of decently.
Not with that ankle.
Damn, you right. Thank you for reminding me. But you didn't have to say it out loud like that. All right. Next one is following them around and then texting them to see if they lie to me. Oh, so you're doing some like Joe Goldberg shit. That's I never went to that extent. I would know information and then confront them about the information and see if they would lie to me.
Yeah. A lot of people do that.
That's a lot of energy.
You're setting yourself up for failure.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I hurt my feelings. I hurt my own feelings every single time.
Don't you think that it would make a whole lot more sense to be like, hey, what are you doing over there?
Yeah.
Why are you at the corner of whatever and whatever?
Well,
right?
how do you know? I would own that shit because I followed you because I don't trust your ass.
Right. Well, because I just saw you there.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Who you with?
Told me you were going to go see your Uncle Sam.
Right. That your uncle Sam looks like Samantha.
Yeah.
And that sounds like your aunt, not your uncle. What's going on over there? But that's one of those things that like when you give somebody an opportunity to lie, hoping that they're going to tell you the truth, even though you know that you just caught them in something, you're just creating more conflict.
Oh, 100%.
You're not working towards resolution at that point. You're looking for more reasons to fight.
Oh, pardon me.
Maybe you should put that down.
Yeah, that's a good call. It's becoming very like hinge movement in my elbow. And this was my broken elbow. I would have rather broken both bones in my forearm. Like this hinge is ruined.
Yeah, it's not.
She needs oil every now and again, and I just can't get in there to do that. And this is becoming tedious for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right? They're creating the situation to where this person can either lie to them or tell them the truth.
Right.
They tell you the truth, and now what?
They're still in trouble.
Right.
Because they're
like,
doing something that they know you disagree with.
But now you're also being sneaky.
Right.
So on top of them being a problem, you are also a problem now. Instead of just confronting the situation.
Yeah. Yeah. It allows you to be a bigger victim.
Yes.
Because then when things go wrong, you can be like, well, they lied to me and they said they were doing this and that when really they were doing this and that. And they never mentioned the fact that you were following them around. Like,
right.
yeah. Yeah.
Next one.
Yeah.
Not with my man, but with other non-sexual relationships. Oh, okay. Let's see where this goes. Blackmail. That's intense. He thought he could manipulate me. However, I knew what he was doing and decided to play along while I got what I needed. He wanted more that was nowhere near what my soul was worth, and I instantly flipped and laid out almost all my cards to get more before walking away, still holding the trump card. When it came to an ex-friend who decided to, oh, fuck around, find out, FAFO, again, blackmail came into play. My memory is fun sometimes, fixating on points others miss. I never took things or would have exposed what was not true, but it would have destroyed them, their families, and still could, but there's nothing to gain out of it now. Completely different paths now. Have I used blackmail in the last 15 years? No. Could I? Yes. Will I? No. And that's on growth. The only way that would happen is fighting on a hill I'm willing to die on and have measures in place to protect those I love. Blackmail is not something to explore unless you are prepared to fall hard too and lose everything. In those 2 moments with the guy, details would have protected me fully, plus I didn't have much at the time. The ex-friend, I had my defenses in place and knew exactly where to strike without shrapnel.
Yeah. Casualties unless they were part of the target. I'm glad that this is not how the way that you behave in now, because this is that vindictive bullshit behavior.
I would do that too. I would collect information. I would save screenshots.
For what?
To prove that I was on the right side of things.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
Okay.
Because you did this.
I did, yeah.
How has that served you now? Right now in your life, if you look back on that, how did any of that make your life better?
It didn't. None of those people are in my life anymore.
So why invest all of that energy?
It felt like a rat race. It felt like, because of the people that I surrounded myself with, right? You are the company that you keep. And I surrounded myself with like-minded people. So my friend group were those kind of people who would talk shit about me behind my back, even though we were talking shit about everybody else in the friend group.
Yeah, if they gossip to you, they'll gossip about you.
Right. So if I knew that Becky was doing this, I'm going to take a screenshot of it and send it to somebody else and be like, hey, just so you know.
Yeah.
Keep this in your back pocket.
That is my rule of 5s.
What do you mean?
This isn't going to matter in 5 months.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not investing that much energy. I'm investing in me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just can't, I couldn't fathom going to that extent. What is that going to do for you?
It was just a game we played, like Monopoly.
Right. Well, even in the event that you were able to blackmail somebody or even like really truly destroy their life, you're going to have guilt about that eventually.
Oh, yeah. There were things that I brought to light where I was like, ooh, that really was not my place to do so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Don't like that at all.
And you're right. There is a guilt in that. That's something that I carry with myself to this day. I was a teenager when that shit happened. I mean, I was late teens, maybe early 20s. But still, those are the kinds of things that I think about at night. Pray to the Lord of, sorry for my behavior. Continue to show me the right path of things.
Yeah.
Continuing on.
Yep.
Giving gifts is a love language for me, so I didn't do that. It would be sexual favors or keeping the house extra clean. I don't understand. Giving gifts is a love language for me.
So they didn't do it.
So I didn't do that. You mean, like, that's how you express love or that's how you receive love? Because those are 2 different things.
Yeah.
Acts of service is a way for me to show my love to you. If you did acts of service for me, it would make me very uncomfortable and make me feel like I'm slacking in life.
Right. Well, the way that's worded, I would assume that giving gifts is a love language for them. So they withheld their love by not doing that. But it would be sexual favors for keeping the house extra clean. It doesn't read right to me. Let's go to the next one.
Okay. Another sexual manipulation. I would tell the same ex that he smelled terrible and needed a shower to get out of providing for him. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So what if he took a shower? What now?
Right. Because that would have been my answer. Cool, I'm going to go get in the shower. I'll be out in 5 minutes.
I was about to say, give me 5 minutes. I'll be back. Yeah.
Or I would just go take a shower and then try. What you going to do? Now I got a headache? Well, I heard that an O will make that go away. Let's try.
Yeah. Well, today was a long day. The excuses would keep compounding in my mind.
Yeah.
And at that point, you're lying. I mean, you're already lying now.
The lying is already there.
It would just continue going.
I would like to see, and I know this is petty shit, but I would like to see somebody that does that. Their love meter is empty, and they don't know how to communicate that they need more intimacy in their life, and they start lying about sex because they know that matters to their man, and they start to manipulate it. And then they're like, "Hey, honey, can you?" And they're like, "Yeah, I have a headache." And like, I would like to see that reversal of that, so that they can both understand how fucked up it is to withhold and not
or to
communicate.
lie about it.
Right?
Yeah. If I came to you and I was like, "Babe, can you take the trash out?" And you're like, "I can't. I have a headache."
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. What does that have to do with you taking the trash out? Like,
I would love to take the trash out, but you smell. You need a shower.
that's why I'm asking you to take the trash out. Like,
Right. That's funny.
I would love to take the trash out, but my boss was super mean to me today.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just too stressful.
Yeah.
You know how far the garbage can is?
I'm very
tired.
overwhelmed right now.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
I stopped doing basically anything for the ex. Laundry not in the basket, I'm not washing it. I'm not putting your laundry away. Hell, by the end of the marriage, I even stopped cooking him dinner. That's petty shit. That's not manipulation.
I would view that as tit for tat.
Yeah, you just quit. You quit.
Gave up.
Yep.
Next one.
Yep.
I'm sorry. Zach said, "You smell, motherfucker. I just got out of the shower and I used a washcloth." Continuing on.
Yep.
I don't know if it would count as manipulation, but way back when my ex and I broke up, we were very young, and she had approached me wanting to get back together. It was a hard no for me, but I didn't tell her that. I led her on and literally asked her to beg for me back, show me you really want me. When she did, I told her not right now and walked away. This took place in the middle of a local Walmart. I am so sorry. Was she like a box-dyed blonde? There used to be this app called iFunny, and there would be this section called The People of Walmart.
I remember that.
Yep. Oh, man. We are old, babe. When my ex-wife found explicit messages on my phone, I gaslit her into thinking I was checking to see if it was a bot for my best friend. He backed up my story.
Well, at least he backed you up.
I mean, once a homie, always a homie, right? Even if they're toxic.
Yeah, I don't know. That whole make her beg, and when she did, I left her, telling her not right now, and walked away. Like
That's definitely a power trip.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of revenge in that statement.
Yeah.
Yep.
Man. Good on you for admitting that. Do you think that's rooted in... Right? Because when I did super shitty behaviors, it's because I wanted to know that I mattered. I wanted to know that you loved me enough to grovel for me, even if I didn't want you in the moment. And I know that's not the case for everybody, but that's what makes sense in my mind.
Yeah. I'm not groveling.
It's crazy how messed up we can become as human beings.
Yep. People of Walmart is still an active site.
No way.
Crazy. Zach said Chris and I are going for manicures. Is that because is manicures toes or is that pedicures?
Manicures is the hands.
Oh yeah, we're not doing that. We're not doing either one of them. But
Don't
I was thinking that
Zachary, I'm going to tell you right now, if you try to take away my callous man hands.
Oh, is that what that was about?
Yes.
Okay. Did they do that? They do your calluses too?
Maybe.
I don't want that.
I don't want that either.
I thought my toes were on screen and he was Yeah. Did you read the car one yet? Because it's bad, but damn, I laughed because that's kind of brilliant.
Okay,
Is that the one where they were arguing in the car because they knew that they couldn't leave?
Oh, I don't know.
We read that one.
We did read
and
that
if that's the
one.
one that she's talking about, it's not brilliant because that's how people get hurt.
That's pretty fucked up. I don't think that was the one. Oh, full named. Oh, brother, did you just deny my bid for
Yeah,
connection?
if it comes to me having to have my calluses fucked up, no, I'm good. I'm not doing that.
the one blocking that shit. Not in my house. Play that game here.
That's funny.
I'm with a man for a reason. I want to feel the man hands. If I want a delicate lady, I'd date a version of me.
Dainty.
Yeah. Soft. 2-hour-long baths.
My most manipulative tactic has
Okay.
been continuation.
Continuation. Slight little bends over time to move things in a direction of my choosing. Little kinks here and there to alter things to benefit me. Keeping me looking like the good guy, and I was always a step ahead of everyone, or so I thought. Ooh, I thought that shit too. I thought I was so clever. I thought that I had this super massive plan, and I was this scheming mad scientist, and in reality, everyone was seeing through my bullshit. And because I was fun to be around sometimes, they just tolerated it. I got clocked so many times with my behavior. And I would just have those people exit my life and bring in new ones who didn't know the game that I was playing.
And just continue the same bullshit.
And continue it, yep.
Yep. Yep. Next one says, I was so toxic at one point when my first baby daddy, he fully deserves the negative connotation attached to the name, was cheating on me. I took the distributor cap off of his car, drew all over it with a graphite pencil, and then helped him try to figure out the problem because his car wouldn't start and he missed his appointments. Yeah, that's pretty rough.
Was that the genius one?
I'm guessing that's the one that she was enjoying. Yep, it's this one. So that's one of those things that has life consequences that could create a lot of problems. Like in the event that you guys were able to work through your bullshit and he lost his job and you guys lost your house because you fucking took the thing off the car, then what? There's so much fucking work and effort and energy that gets put into that kind of vindictive behavior that I just don't have it in me.
A lot of thought put into it. Yeah.
All of that thought could have been put into something else. That energy could have been put into something else.
How can we fix our relationship?
Yeah. I also hate the baby daddy, baby mama terms, but that's a me thing.
Next one says, order this for me. Okay. Doesn't actually order the thing. I don't know why it's taking so long to get here.
That's not manipulation. That's just lying.
Yeah, that is. The next one says, I used to purposely make friends with my ex's friends and then ruin their friendship so they would only have me.
Damn.
Wow.
So you're just ruining lives all around because eventually you're not there anymore either.
Right. I mean, that's a really good point. I wouldn't ruin friendships, but I would definitely befriend women who I felt like were a threat to me in my relationship. Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. I was fake as fuck. Trying to get into their good graces to make sure I could keep tabs on them and make sure they weren't disrupting what I had going on with the person I was with.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I was. Next one says, I would require my SO to have Life 360 on their phones, and I would constantly stalk their location to start fights.
I've never had that because somebody else has asked. I've never shared my location or had any type of tracking anything on my shit unless it was voluntary. If anybody ever asked me to do that, I would tell them no.
Yeah. Next one says, I used to bottle up everything and have a big blow up about everything he did wrong. Now I address things as they happen, or at least within a couple of days so it doesn't pile up.
That's it. It's easier to clean up a small spill than it is to clean up the full bottle.
Continuing.
Yep.
Oh, another thing I've done has been to purposely stop taking care of my hygiene and stuff and try to look really ugly and gross in hopes that my ex-husband wouldn't demand/expect sex.
That's disgusting.
Continuing on.
Yep.
I'd engage in hobbies pretty heavily on his days off that he wasn't interested in. Spending 8+ hours outside gardening, for example.
See, this is toxic behavior. This isn't manipulation.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't see how that's manipulation. I view it as you're avoiding.
Right. Why not leave?
Yeah.
Like, if you're that fucking unhappy to be around your person, why be there? I just don't get it.
Continuing on. Or I'd really get into single player video games. I'd still do all of the wife shit, making dinner, taking care of the house, doing laundry, etc. But I would play my games and shut him and the world out as much as possible.
Again, that's toxic behavior. It's not manipulation.
Yeah. Continuing on.
Yep.
My toxic manipulation habit was the damsel in distress. I was the master at this. I used it all the time for a lot of different reasons. The biggest was if I was being lazy. I would say something too heavy or too hard for me to move. I would say something is too heavy or too hard for me to move just so someone else would do it for me. I would guilt people to help me even though I knew with a little effort I could do it myself. I became the master of this, sometimes making myself believe I wasn't good enough for the task at hand.
Yeah. That is manipulation.
Yeah.
It's also hindering you because you're not getting life experience to like do shit. Right? Like you are going to eventually start to believe that you can't do these things.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
First one says, my ex-wife would buy positive pregnancy tests off people and use them against me to get what she wanted and used to justify her treatment towards me, saying it was hormones, and then claim a miscarriage while I was gone at work out on the road.
I know women who would do this and then demand money for an abortion.
Wow.
Yep.
I mean, that's a few $100s.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a website now that supports women doing this. You can buy fake pregnancy tests, fake ultrasounds. You can buy fake pregnancy bellies.
It's fucked up.
It's a whole thing. Yeah. I learned about that through, I want to say it was Dr. Phil, who was speaking to a woman who would serial date dudes, and after the first night of them having sex, she was pregnant. And she was able to provide all these other kinds of things, and they were talking about that website. Continuing on.
There should be legal repercussions for that.
I agree 100%. 100%.
Could you imagine in the event that happened to somebody that actually had intelligence and was able to sue for emotional hardships? What is it? It's not emotional hardships.
Emotional distress.
Emotional distress.
I feel like
She told me that she was pregnant and then demanded money for an abortion, and I really wanted to have that baby and couldn't. She killed my child.
I feel like at some point along the line, depending on how she's talking about the dude, oh, he abandoned me and I'm pregnant with his child, that's
Right.
defamation.
It absolutely is, especially if she wasn't actually pregnant.
Right.
I would love to see those kind of court cases get blown up all over the news and like ruin fucking lives over that shit. Yep. Next one says, when trying to tell my ex that I missed him and wanted to spend more quality time together, he would tell me that he was coming home to me and that should mean something. I would have liked to have seen that conversation play out.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand that. Like, is he coming home and playing video games the whole time?
Right. That's why that's why I paused. I can't say
Yeah.
that's why you paused, but that's why I paused. If you're like, I miss you, and I'm like, well, I'm on my way home. Well,
Hell yeah.
right.
I'm gonna meet you in the driveway.
But to say that I missed him and wanted to spend more quality time together, well, I'm coming home. What more do you want? That's a different conversation
It
than,
is.
well, I'll be there in an hour, right? Like,
Yeah, I'm not cheating on you. I'm coming home to you. So what more do you want from me? That's definitely a different.
right. But even still, like, if that's his defense mechanism to the argument, like, there needs to be a conversation out. Like, that's one of those things that I think could be resolved with one or two conversations. I think that in a group setting where both of us are sitting down talking to two people who are having that conversation, we could resolve that in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And they would both leave with a different perspective. Excuse me. They would leave with a different perspective. And the next time something came up like that, it wouldn't be a defensive act.
Next one.
Real quick, somebody said, what about the opposite? What if she told him she had an abortion, however, she had the baby, and you didn't find out till years later and he was adopted? I also feel like there should be criminal charges brought up in that situation. I think that and this, I'm not going to get into the abortion topic any further than, unless, how do I word this without being fucked up to people? That baby is two parts of, that baby whole is two parts, mom and dad.
Mm-hmm.
And mom and dad should have equal say.
I agree.
And when you remove one person from the equation forcefully, there's problems there.
Mm-hmm.
So now when we get to the point where we can be like, you want to have a baby? You want to have a baby? Cool. Egg in a chamber. Baby's had. Nobody's carrying shit. You don't want it? Cool. Sign your rights over. I want it. I'm going to take this baby.
Mm-hmm. Next one says, my ex was also 33, dating me at freshly 19, telling me that he was actually freshly 29. He screamed and cried at me once because I said I liked motorcycles and called me insensitive and a psycho bitch because you did that on purpose. You know my ex-girlfriend died on a motorcycle. I had no idea that had happened. He told me all about how he had bought her her dream bike. They had gotten into a fight. She sped off in the rain, hit some wet leaves. He got very detailed with her death. He even drove me 4 hours away to New York to show me where she was buried. A month later, I found her on Facebook, very much alive. His wife, divorce was not final, never ridden a motorcycle in her life.
Wow. Pathological lying.
Is definitely pathological lying. That's terrifying.
Yeah. Oh, this is our last one.
All right, last one says, one that was done to me was my ex broke up with me, then tried to get back together. I told him maybe, but I don't know, because I had no self-worth and was a people pleaser. I had finally told him I didn't want to see him anymore when my man and I started talking. He found out about him and told me I had 3 options. 1, get back together with him. 2, he gets over me, which obviously he can't do. And 3, he deletes himself. It was not a grand old time.
Yeah. I can't say what I want to say here because the last time I did, we got kicked off of a live. And even though we're only on a Patreon live, I know this is going to get put up on the internet later. But that number 3,
I don't play that game.
Me either.
I don't play that game. I was breaking up with a dude once, and I remember I was at a friend's house and we were all hanging out. I think we were playing like Guitar Hero or something stupid at like 3 a.m. And this dude sent me photos of him self-harming. And he's like, if you don't get back together with me, I'm going to off myself. I was like, I'm not doing this. Like, you ending your own life is not on me. Like, you abused the shit out of me. You manipulated me. I'm not going to let this continue.
Oh, you got Baker acted, bro? I bet you don't do that shit again. You manipulative little fuck.
Play that game.
Yep.
I wanted to go back to the comment about the dude saying my girlfriend died in a motorcycle accident and got super detailed about that. I would clock that real fucking quick.
Yeah.
Are you lying to me right now? Like, why are you giving me all this detail? From my understanding and the research that I've done and from my own experience, people who are traumatized from something like that do not want to give a lot of detail. This happened, it sucked, and you triggered me. I don't know. I also experienced that whole going into detail and finding out it was a lie multiple times in my life. So
yeah, that's because people have seen things in movies where they say the most effective lie has a lot of detail in it. TB.
Yeah.
Teaching people how to live their life one episode at a time.
Crazy.
Because people mimic what they see on television.
Yeah.
I saw something today about, it was about roommates and about how people, this is a victim mentality conversation. I really am trying to think of how I want to deliver this conversation in a way that gets my point across, which is manipulative because I'm trying to lead the conversation to something. But the gist of it was that there are 2 couples living in a house. There's a pregnancy and talks of marriage, and one person's leaving, or the couple is leaving to get their own place. And because they were roommates, the person who has the lease that can't afford to be there on their own feels like the person that's moving on to have a family and have a child is abandoning them and fucking them over. And like, I really wanted to have this long drawn out thing, but at what point do you not realize that your shortcomings are your own? Because if you are signing a lease somewhere, you should be able to afford that with or without a roommate. The roommate should be able to make things a lot smoother for you financially.
Right.
But roommates are temporary. People are going to do what's best for them. And knowing that there's a baby on the way or babies on the way and that there's a marriage coming, you can't expect people to want to stay living in your home, even if you don't have kids, right? Even if it's just two couples living together as roommates because it's cost effective. The moment kids come in, even if it was the homeowner that was having kids, eventually that other roommate's going to go, hey, I don't want to fucking live here with a baby. You guys need your room. I'm out. At what point do we need to realize that this is not about us being fucked over? This is about people doing what's best for them. And if you are really that, you did this to yourself. There's no other way that I can word that. You knew you couldn't afford the house. You signed the fucking lease thinking that your roommate was going to stay there forever. You shouldn't have signed the lease, or you both should have signed the lease. Like, how can you play a victim in a situation like that? I don't have sympathy for people. When I see shit like that, I think you're a fucking idiot and you're getting everything that you deserve.
Yeah.
And I know that makes me sound harsh, but you can't be mad at somebody for wanting to start their life. You were a temporary place to park their vehicle for a little while. You guys are helping each other. Mm-hmm. If you can't afford the place on your own, you shouldn't have signed a lease. That conversation didn't go at all as I planned because I just kind of ran the entire thing. But like, I am really, that's a victim mentality mindset for me. And I've been thinking about it a lot, pretty much all day today.
Yeah.
I think that that's pathetic. I think that's bullshit behavior. And I think that as long as people have that pity me victim mentality, that kind of situation, those people will never be able to understand truly what it is to live for yourself. Like, or to see somebody do well and actually be glad that they're doing well. Because in a situation like that, don't you think it would make more sense to be like, hey, it really sucks that you're moving, or can you give me like 2 more months so that I can stack some extra money? I'm gonna get a second job just so that I make sure that I'm okay when you're gone. But I'm fucking glad that you're getting married. Congratulations, or you're having a baby, or whatever the case may be. Where does that? Why can't we normalize that type of behavior?
Because people are selfish.
Yeah.
I think it should be normalized.
I type a lot of shit and delete it.
Yeah.
Because I'm not willing to argue with people over the internet. And sometimes I'll make videos and like I'll make a little TikTok about something and give my little opinion, but like sometimes I can't let shit go and I dwell on it and it eats at me and it eats at me and it eats at me. And like I just really want to fucking belittle people sometimes.
I get that.
The idea of needing somebody for me means that I'm not capable of doing it on my own. If we had to take on a roommate to keep all of this going, I'm failing. Right. I should be looking for a second job before I'm looking for a roommate because I want to sustain the life that I have built. And if my second job isn't enough, then you need to get a second job, and we're just not going to see each other for a while until we can stack our money and figure out what the fuck we're going to do. But the idea of taking on a roommate to supplement income for however long it's going to take is a joke. People are not going to stay. And when I originally thought about this, I was going to say, I don't know anybody that's had roommates that have like been okay afterwards. Normally, once that roommate situation is ended, somebody's ass hurt and there's no friendship there anymore. But then I realized that I've had friends that are still, I have friends that were roommates. Sean lived with me for over a year and he's my best friend. He's doing really well in life. And when he moved out, there was no hard feelings there. It was just it's time for you to get your own place. It's just been a year. But other than him, I can't think of a whole lot of times where people have lived together and continued to have friendships after they've lived together. And does that speak to the ability to live together, or does that speak to the butthurt of somebody in the situation feeling like they were done dirty because somebody moved on? You don't own people.
Right.
They don't owe you anything. So like there's an agreement there. And if the agreement was met, I don't understand what the problem is. Mm-hmm. If you move them in, if you guys both moved in together at the same time to buy a house or rent a house, and one person signed everything and the other person's not on anything, you have an agreement in like by word. At that point, they're not contractually obligated to fucking do anything. And in reality, you could probably kick them out if you really wanted to. and they know that. So why wouldn't they be looking for their exit plan or their level up or the ability to get their own place? Amanda said, I had a coworker move into a house with a bunch of friends. I said, oh no, within 2 months, they all quit their jobs and he had to keep everything paid. Yep. Now, what has ate at me today? That video last night with the guy in the Jets hat. I had somebody comment on that video and say that they don't see anything wrong with it. What they see is a happy marriage, and this is their love language and the way that they communicate.
That's stupid.
There's no fucking way that that's a love language.
Tell me you're blind and trying to excuse your own behaviors within your relationship.
Yeah. That video broke my fucking heart when I saw it.
It broke my heart.
Have you ever had a mental breakdown? like a legit mental breakdown, not like
I've been Baker acted. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
let me find a better way to word that then, because in my mind I knew exactly what I meant. Mental breakdown is a blanket statement. Have you ever had a nervous breakdown? I guess that's a little different.
What's a nervous breakdown?
How
is that different from mental breakdown?
I don't know how to explain what I'm trying to get across to you. Let me Google nervous breakdown now, though, because now I need to find a definition for that, because I thought I had that ready to go, and I guess I don't. Is a non-clinical term used to describe a period of intense mental or emotional stress that makes it difficult to function in daily life, also known as a mental health crisis. So there's not a difference.
Okay.
So that doesn't explain what I'm trying to ask you either. I had a day. I had to have been. I was on house arrest.
Young.
So I couldn't have been more than 19 years old. I had already had my own place, was living in a really shitty duplex in Clearwater. I remember feeling not okay. And then I started crying. And then I started ugly crying. And I had a complete psychological fucking breakdown. And I remember calling my mom and apologizing to my mom for all the fucking shitty things that I had done. And like, it was like an 8-hour cry. Like, I was fucking going through it. And it wasn't like a suicide thing. It was, I was sorry for everything I had ever done. Like, I just had hit a low of like the reflection of my life and realizing that like I was nothing. And like, it was, I guess an ego death would probably be a close example of what I was going through, but there was no positivity to it. It was all based on the fucked up structure of my life. That day that happened with me, it really started because I was thinking about all the fucked up shit that I had done to people. Mm-hmm. And like, it started to get worse and worse and worse. And like, that was one of the first times where like, I really felt bad about the shit that I was doing.
Yeah.
And my mom lived in a different city. Like, she was hours and hours away at that point. And I remember calling her, like I was remorseful. And it was one of the few times in my life that my mom truly showed compassion. She was sober. Like, it was just stars aligned in that moment. And I thought that like there was going to be a rekindling of a relationship. But I'll never forget that day. And watching that video yesterday with that dude over that spool of wire and like the reminiscing of his life and like the way that plays out is what I equated it to that moment in my life with, and that's the significance that I put to it. So when I first watched it, I started getting emotional thinking like, damn dude, I've been there. I know what that motherfucker feels like. And then to hear the woman in the background, like it destroyed a piece of me. And like, I had nothing to do with that. Like, that shit could have been fucking staged for all I know.
Right.
But like, I assigned a whole lot of emotional,